haven't done this in a while.
I know, it's weird. I don't, and not bad. It's just weird.
It's weird. So, hey everyone, I'm Bradley Schneller. This is
Sarah Altabello.
We still got it. We still got it.
We're back.
This is, with that being said, a Rue Fitness podcast. We are back. To you, it seems like no time has gone by, but it's been a little bit since we last recorded.
Yeah, you had a vacation. Where'd you go?
I went to Hawaii. We stayed in Oahu.
Mm-hmm.
I think I said that right. Oahu. We had a.
I don't know. It sounds good to me.
We had a constant joke, or Emily had a joke. I don't know. One of us had a joke. But Emily's mom, Lexi, hi Lexi, if you're watching, constantly said the entire trip that, did you know that in Hawaii they pronounce every vowel?
Oh.
So we were driving down the street on the interstate, and there was a street said like Vineyard Drive, and I was like, Vineyard Drive. Did I do that right, Emily?
Did you count the Y?
Yeah, I tried to count the Y. So no, so we went to Hawaii. We went snorkeling. We went hiking.
Yeah, and apparently you said Brennan's a pro.
Brennan is a pro at snorkeling. He got right
That's
into
so cool.
it. It was. This is gonna sound weird, but it was probably my proudest dad moment yet.
I feel like that can be a really intimidating thing for a kid.
It was. We're in the Pacific Ocean. I'm like holding his hand while we're snorkeling and paddling with one and holding him, and then he's paddling with his other. We're kind of snorkeling together and pointing things out, which was a really fun father-son moment too.
Yeah.
And there was a point at which he just pushed away from me and like dove down towards the fish. And it was awesome. Like we had a great time. It was all good until we saw an eel about 3 feet from our face, and then he started freaking out. But
Scram.
I got him to go back in the water after that, so the eel didn't kill me.
That's also a huge success.
Huge
getting
success.
Back in after getting
also,
scared.
I went from Christmas Day.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't count the 200 kettlebell swings I did in my house. If you don't count that, I went from Christmas Day to January 6th without working out.
And how did that feel?
Yesterday was my first day back working out, and it was struggle bus. So
you thought your hamstrings were going to explode?
Thought my hamstrings were going to explode. I went...
But did they?
They did not. I went super slow, and I just tried to like get right back into it. So like I didn't complete all 8 sets of squats, but I did what I felt like I could do.
Well, I think you and I have the same mentality in how we approach vacations. Like I'm not going to say no. Like I'm not going to eat that food or drink that beverage because of I don't know.
I spent the 10 days. I didn't work out at all.
Right.
And I know I texted you a couple of times, and you texted me off the ledge.
Do what I can.
Yeah, I was worried about taking all these pictures because, I'm jacked in the head a little bit. Worried about taking all these pictures on the beach and not working out.
Mm-hmm.
But as it turns out, like, I look fine.
Well, I was going to say, I think, like, a lot of their cuisine is kind of conducive to... Like, you weren't tracking anything. You were eating things that you weren't normally eating, but you weren't in New York getting, like, pizza.
Right. Yeah, I spent
every day.
I spent 9 out of the 10 days intermittent fasting, which is normal for me. It's not like I did that on purpose. That's just how I operate. It's how I feel best. And it actually worked out really well.
Yeah, you were telling me about all the fresh fish y'all were eating and things like that. So it kind of worked out. That's kind of nice.
Yeah, and I didn't really, like, overconsume alcohol, and I think that's because of just the time differences and the kids and what we had planned. And,
right.
It was pretty active time. You can't drink on the beach there.
That makes a big difference.
Makes a huge difference. So, like, we did sneak alcohol onto the beach one time in some, like, Yetis.
Yeah.
Like, I emptied out a bottle of Prosecco into these Yetis,
Perfect.
and then we took that to the beach. But it was still, like, rather difficult because I'm, like, full dad mode through the parking lot with chairs and an ice chest and towels and beach toys and Prosecco.
Right.
And snorkeling gear all the way down to the beach. So,
but knowing you have the Prosecco, I'm sure made it a little easier to lug all the other stuff there.
Absolutely. So, but it was a fun time. And, part of that trip kind of gave me the idea to talk about what we're going to discuss on this. Because I was able to chill out, remember what life's all about. Mm-hmm. And what I want to talk about today is finding your why. And your why is, why do you exercise? Why do you choose to eat healthy? And then discuss about how, like, your exercise protocol or your plan should meet your why, and then your fitness goals should also be in alignment with that why. So let's just get started. Let's talk about our whys.
Yeah.
So why do you work out?
Should I say why I originally started and kind of where I am now?
Give it
putting
all.
The cart before the horse?
No, give it all.
Okay. I started working out, I think primarily for an aesthetic reason. I just wanted to look good.
Which is a perfectly okay reason.
I think a lot of people start there. Growing up dancing primarily, you spend a lot of time in front of a mirror in very tight clothing.
I spend a lot of time in front of a mirror too.
But not, we're back.
Not for that reason, but go ahead.
And as I was a very picky eater growing up. And when I was younger, I could get away, I was dancing 6 days a week. And I could get away with eating fast food as I was rushing from school to dance. And then I noticed a shift after high school where I wasn't dancing quite as much, and that started to catch up to me. And on top of it, I was always a lot of self-conscious because I never had your typical dancer's body.
Right.
So as I got older and started to kind of get to a point where I was old enough to kind of work out on my own and gain access to a gym and things like that without my parents, I started working out, and it was totally just to look a certain way. Now it's 100% about feeling good.
Right.
And a lot of it is twofold for me because we've talked about before with my anxiety,
right.
It's such a mood booster. Very specifically, it is always a goal of mine to do everything in my power to stay off of any kind of medication for depression or anxiety. And so that plays a big key. And then I'm at the point in my life where I want kids. And so twofold, I want to go into whenever I decide to do that. I want to be in the best place physically and mentally. Yeah. And also because I don't have kids yet, I'm it sounds really weird, but I'm kind of taking this body for a ride and seeing how far I can push it while I have the time to be selfish and what can I do? What can I accomplish? And I think all of that will help once I do decide to make that jump in my life.
No, I love it. And I think that goes to show you, and the whys can change or stack up on top of each other.
Yeah.
Where I think it's more of a stack thing.
Mm-hmm.
Not
that kind of stack.
Not that kind of stack, but it does. The whys do stack. So, for instance, when I started working out, I started working out when I started CrossFit, and it was to look better. It wasn't really to feel better. I didn't care about that. I just wanted to look better. I spent my entire life looking a certain way. I wanted to look better. Right. And then it became, I want to be good.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I want to
compete.
I wanted to compete, and not necessarily I knew I didn't have the capacity to compete in a realistic CrossFit regionals, CrossFit games, but I wanted to compete within the class.
Yeah, within the class and within your gym.
Right. And I did that for a little bit. And then my why after, wasn't when my kids were born or my son was born, but probably a couple of years after that, when now I'm starting to do more of the dad thing.
Yeah.
And then a lot when Emily joined Rue from a business standpoint, my priorities shifted. And it was now okay, I want to be a good dad. I want to be there, for them. I want to be a good business partner to my wife, which means I can't slack off, and I gotta do a good job because I have a boss again. No. But I like the accountability. And then it was, back to, I want to look good. I want to feel good. And there are days that pop up that I want to kick ass.
Yeah.
But I also recognize that I can't try to kick ass every day and still do all that other stuff. So, to me, those whys stacked up and then kind of got back and then changed a little bit. And, you know,
yeah, and that's how it is. Not just the idea of stacking, but sometimes where they are in the stack changes. Like it's almost a little more like a pyramid. Like for me, it's about feeling good. Yes, physically, but also like mentally. And then everything else is on top of that. And it kind of trades places.
Yeah.
Like certain things are more important. And that's where I get the pyramid idea. Like
I've said in the past that, finding time to work out is not difficult, but I think it depends on who you are and what your life is, because I get the priority, so like if your why is I want to feel good, then you probably only need to work out a few times a week. Yeah. And you get that feel, or you work out when you have the opportunity to work out. And it depends on, again, what you have going on in your life. Right?
Yeah. And I think some people don't know their real why.
Right.
They might have a why based on what other people around them have done, or based on what people on social media are saying. But something that, like, I learned, I guess you've learned it already with the precision nutrition, is they talk about, like, when you're trying to get to someone's why, to ask it 5 times. And it should make you very, very emotional.
Yeah.
Like I had one client, it was like, why are you doing this? I want to lose weight. Why do you want to lose weight? I want to be able to keep up with my kids. Why do you want to be able to keep up with your kids? And then we found out that her mother had chronic health issues due to being overweight and couldn't keep up with her. So I think that's a really important tool to use, and genuinely finding out why you are doing this. And is it because you came up with this, or is it something someone else said that you thought sounded good?
Yeah, I totally get that. I spent a lot of time trying to work out to feel like validation.
Yeah.
Big time. There was a period of time when I owned Rue and I thought that I had to be the best in the gym or close to it, or not, I don't have to win everything, but I got to be there. And if I went through like a little lull where maybe I was 4th 5 times in a row, like I got really down and depressed, which was silly, and I say it's silly, and I say it's only silly because I have grown so much through this fitness process that I've seen kind of the ups and downs, all the different whys.
Yeah.
And then kind of like the evolution of everyone's fitness when they first get into CrossFit, after they've been in CrossFit for a year, 2 years, 3 years, and then like now I'm into general maintenance, right? And so if anyone else is feeling that out there, like I totally get that. And it's okay to feel that way. Like it's absolutely okay to feel that way, because I experienced it, and it's part of, if you say I want to feel good, that validation makes you feel good.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It totally does.
So like I don't think that's something to be afraid of. I only think that becomes a problem is when seeking validation maybe puts you in a position that knocks you out of balance.
That depletes you.
Depletes you. That's a good way to put it. Like I spent, I was like, I got to get better at Olympic lifting if I'm going to be good. I spent 9 months focusing on that, and I like hated it. I've talked about that in the past, but I didn't do CrossFit. I just did that, and I was like banging my head against the wall, spending 2.5 hours a day to only like raise my lifts a couple of pounds. Yeah. Literally a couple of pounds, like 10 on my clean and jerk and like 5 on my snatch. So it had to come back to, refocusing myself. So that gets us to this point, and it's, does your exercise match your why? And I say that because if your why is working out and feeling good, are you really concerned about your back squat PR or your deadlift PR or your snatch PR or whatever, whereas if it's like, hey, I want to push my body, like where you are right now, let's see how far I can go with this. Well, then, yeah, it's perfectly acceptable to be worried about all that stuff, right?
Right. And even then, I am still finding the balance of like, all or nothing. And I think the holidays were a really good shift for me, because after I did my competition in August, I had a really hard time downshifting, like from that. And then over the holidays, I was just like, I mean, I'm fit. I just got to keep it where I'm at, and then I'll figure it out from there.
Also, I find out, like, once you hit a certain point, it's more or less like experience makes you better. And the repetition. It's not necessarily like you have to go with the same intensity all the time.
Oh, yeah. I think watching people in class that just separates people is how they approach a workout.
Right.
Not necessarily what the weight is and how strong they are. What separates them is their mindset.
Right. Yeah. And so what kind of happened to me over the holidays is in December, and I talked about this a little bit, I set a goal. I was going to count my macros for December. I wanted to be peak body Bradley for Hawaii.
Body by Bradley.
Body by Bradley, by my own self. But it was super difficult because, well, I thought it was going to be super difficult because I had all these holiday luncheons, had Christmas, and I wanted to experience those things. I didn't want to be like that asshole who brings a scale to a meal or whatever. So it was finding... Or
commandeers the waiter for 5 minutes to ask what kind of oils everything's cooked in.
Right, which you will get, even from Sarah and I, you will get an eye roll if you do that at the table with us at a restaurant. So
that's true.
So I found that, like, okay, Monday through Thursday, I could count my macros, and then Friday, Saturday, Sunday could be what I wanted it to be. As long as I didn't go crazy. And by crazy, I mean, like, if I went and had a big lunch and ate whatever I want and drank whatever I want, dinner, I just wouldn't go hog wild as well.
Yeah, you paid that much more attention to your other decisions.
Right.
It was more intentional.
Right. And so I found, though, and this was pretty cool, I found that doing that Monday through Thursday and not really on Friday, Saturday, Sunday still got me to my goal in 4 weeks.
Yeah.
So what that realized is that I could have balance, have everything I wanted to, and still reach my goals, which was to look good, feel good. And a lot of the macro counting did have to do with feeling good.
Right.
I spent a lot of time after meals thinking my stomach hurts. And I'm like, how can this be? I'm eating clean. You know? Yeah. And I realized some different things through the counting that caused that. And then I also found out that while I was in Hawaii and didn't work out for 11 days, like, I didn't lose everything. I was able to maintain my body. And so I came to these realizations that, you know, I can work out 4 or 5 times a week. You know, I prefer 6. It's hard for me to get 6 in. 4 to 5 times a week. And still, like, have my 2 off days. And then realize that if my day gets a little crazy, my kids get sick, if my wife needs me in some other direction, or the business needs me to do something and I don't get to work out that day, I'll be okay.
Yeah. I think it's a mental shift and kind of digging deeper into that as our nutrition has evolved.
Right.
I have good habits in place. And so if I'm pushing myself in the gym, I'm no longer making up for something. Like, I'm not working off food. Like, my food is fuel, and like, I'm right there with you. I didn't work out every day during the holidays, but I didn't come back yesterday freaking out about it.
Right. Yeah, that's awesome.
Because other things in my life had gone right.
And that it takes time to realize those things. Like, you've been doing this for 3 or 4 years.
Yeah. Here.
Right. Here. And, you know, I've been doing it for a while, and I can't say I felt this way 6 months ago or a year ago, you know? So, you know, listen to us.
We're the experts.
We're the experts. But it's okay to feel a certain ways. And so, like, I see people grinding away every day. And I'm not necessarily know if their exercise regimen matches their why.
Right.
And the grind can be different, you know? Like, if you're feeling super sore, and by super sore, I mean like beat up, why are you at the gym?
Right.
Go for a walk. Go for a 35-minute walk.
Or if you really want to be at the gym, sit on the bike. Talk to everyone.
Sit on the bike, come hang out. But some magic thing isn't going to happen if you work out 6 or 7 days a week. Like, I actually promise you the opposite might happen. And you and I, as we advocate always on this show, and Emily and I, and all of us here at Rue, that's either part of the Stacked coaching team or Rue Fitness coaches, will tell you that most of your aesthetic goals are going to come from your nutrition.
Yes, 110%.
Right. So just remember that as you're banging your head against the wall 5 to 6 days a week. So if you're here for fun, which a lot of us are, and that's why I choose the type of exercise I choose with CrossFit in a group setting with people, and some of it's for time and competing, and some of it's not. And there are days I like to push myself and days I don't, is because it's fun, and I want that type of fun atmosphere, but realizing that most of my goals hinge on my nutrition.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, cool. Anything you got to add to that?
No, I agree with all of that. It's interesting as I was looking towards like new year, new goals. I realized the biggest shift last year was the lockdown in my nutrition. Mm-hmm. And how easy that felt. And that was not a goal I set last year.
That's neat.
And so that was really cool. But you got any New Year's resolutions?
Yes. My New Year's resolution. Sorry. We were supposed to say that at the beginning, right?
It's fine. I circled back to it. But now we've
so we do want you to comment below with your New Year's resolution. Mine was to be more positive. Mm-hmm. And it's not that I'm like a negative person. But I find that I might downgrade my happiness or what I'm doing to a more negative effect to make other people feel better.
Yeah.
And I just realized like I don't necessarily know if that helps. And it doesn't make me feel better. So
and it drains you.
It drains you. So like bitch less. Complain less, whine less, and just look at like the positive aspects of everything. Like we were in Hawaii, 6 of the 7 kids got the stomach flu. There was some throwing up. Our shark diving got canceled, which really sucked. But there were a ton of happy things that occurred, some things that I'll never get to see again, some real memories I made with my kids, my wife, my family. And so that was really awesome. So I was happy to be part of that.
Yeah.
You?
Awesome. I don't have I guess kind of along those lines, but we asked people one day like their theme for next year, and mine is consistency. And in all aspects, from things at work, like branding type of things, all of that, but also just for myself. I said last year, and I kind of did some things for myself, but I need to really do that and do things to take care of myself. So not just saying things, but following through year round. So consistency is kind of my theme.
I like it.
For the year.
Awesome, y'all. Well, we hope you enjoyed this. Remember to subscribe.
Yeah, you don't want to miss this every week.
Subscribe to us on iTunes or Spotify. Go ahead and leave us a review and rating if you had not. That would be 5 stars, not 4.
5, because we're wonderful.
And cool. If you want to follow us on social media, it's Rue_Fitness on Instagram and at Rue Fitness on Facebook or at CrossFit Rue.
So. Yeah, that's us.
Awesome. Also, don't try to follow me on Twitter. It's mostly about sports, and this is a bad time to follow me on Twitter with sports.
We're just going to leave it at that.
Except for next Monday. So Go Tigers. All right. Well, that's a wrap. Bye.
I think that's it. Bye.
Holler.